Hello everyone, welcome to Mr. K Talks Tech YouTube channel. So in today's video, we are going to see about how to create Azure Data Factory using the Azure portal. So in the last video, we have seen the introduction about the Azure Data Factory, where we discussed topics like orchestration and ETL process. So if you haven't seen that video, please do check it out. So in today's video, let's create a data factory. And as you can see here, this is the Azure portal. And I have a resource group called RG Mr. K Azure Tutorials. So if I click on that, so this is the resource group that I'm using for all the tutorials. So now let's create Azure Data Factory. So now we are in the resource group. There is an option to create a new resource. I'm clicking on here. So it takes us to the marketplace. Now if I'm typing data factory, so this is the data factory that is provided by Microsoft, which we need to create. So I'm going to click here and there is an option to create. So if I click on there, so now we need to enter few details to create the Azure Data Factory. So now we are in the basics tab. We have to give details like subscription. We are using the Azure subscription one to create this resource, and also the resource group. So as said before, RG Mr. K Azure Tutorials is the resource group that I'm going to use it. And then some of the instance details like name. Uh, let's give a name, ADF demo Mr. K. Cool. As you can see here, there is a tick mark over here, which means that the name that you have given is the valid name. The next one is the region. So I'm going to select Australia East, which is the closest region where I'm located currently. And one thing to note here is like when you're actually creating a resource, make sure that you select the nearest region. So that will improve the speed of the data transfer and all of the stuff. So it is better to actually keep the closest region possible. And also the other thing to note here is like if you create one resource in one particular location, make sure that you consistently use the same location for creating all the other resources. Cool. So the next one is the version. So I think this is the latest version, which is the V2. I'm going to use the same one. So we have given all the basics details. Now let's go to the next step, which is the Git configuration. So by default, this option, which is the configure Git later, will be selected, which means that we are not going to integrate Azure Data Factory with any of the Git providers like GitHub or Azure DevOps. So I'm going to go with the default option because this Git configuration is really important, and I would like to make a separate video about how we can integrate Azure Data Factory with Git, like Azure DevOps. Because why it is very important is like, for example, if you are doing all the changes in Azure Data Factory, you need to save all your changes, where that Git integration acts like a repository to save all the work that you're doing. And the other one is like, for example, the concepts like CI/CD can be done using the Git integration, which is the continuous integration and continuous deployment. So this is really important as part of any data platform solution. So I'll be making a separate video about this in the future. So for now, I'm going to use the default option, which is the configure Git later option. Cool. Let's go to the next step, which is the networking. So this is completely related to the networking configurations that you can do at Azure Data Factory. So for example, you have a managed virtual network option over here. So if you click on this enable managed virtual network, what will happen is Azure Data Factory will create a managed virtual network by itself, and it will use this virtual private network to communicate to different services. For example, if Azure Data Factory want to communicate to Azure Data Lake, this will use this private network to actually make that communication. So this will make the communications more secure, and this is one of the best practice way to do as well. But what I'm going to do is like I'm not going to enable this managed virtual network, because even though if you create this Azure Data Factory without enabling this option, you can later come to the Azure Data Factory and then configure this managed virtual network. So as part of this demo, I'm going to go with the default option here. So this is all about the managed virtual network. And the next part is like the self-hosted integration runtime, inbound connectivity to Azure Data Factory services. So I'll be explaining about what is this integration runtime means in Azure Data Factory in the later videos. But for now, we are going to use this public endpoint. So this is basically same like what we discussed in the managed virtual network, like how it is going to communicate to different services. Is it going to use a public endpoint, or it is going to use the private endpoint? So I'm going to go with the public endpoint as part of this demo. But even if you want to go with the private endpoint, so for example, if you're going with a private endpoint, you may need to create a private endpoint connections. So you can also create this private endpoint from here. So if I click on that, uh, so it will take you to this place to actually create a private endpoint where you can give different details and stuff. So I'm not going to configure this. So this tab is completely related to the networking elements, which makes this Azure Data Factory even more secure. But as part of this demo, I'm not going to use this any of this option for now. So as said before, even if I want to configure it later, I can do it. I will show you exactly like where can we configure that in this demo. So I'm going with the public endpoint for now. And so I'm going to use this default option for networking. I'm not going to change anything over here. So now I'll go to the next step, which is advanced tab. So this tab is completely related to the encryption part. So as you can see here, Microsoft has some of the managed keys to encrypt all the data that is stored in blob and files. As you can see here, there is an option to use a customer managed key. For example, if you don't want to use the Microsoft managed keys and you have any customer managed key to perform the encryption, then you can use it. If you have a managed key, you can select this option and you can store this key in a service called Key Vault. And if you supply the URL of the Key Vault, the Azure Data Factory will use that key from the Key Vault to do all the encryptions and stuff. But I'm not going to use this option. I'm just going to go with the Microsoft managed keys, which will be sufficient for my demo tutorial purpose, because all the encryption is managed by the Microsoft itself. So now let's go to the next part, which is the tags. So this is mostly around like using tags to easily identify the resources that you're creating. So let me go with the default one that I've been using to create the resource, which is like created by, and the value is some Mr. K. Cool. So now we have given all the details. Now let's go to the next part, which is the review and create. So all the validation has been passed. You can just go through the details that you have given for creating this data factory. If you're happy with all the details, then you can go with the create option. So I'm clicking on create. So it will start the deployment process now. Cool. So the resource has been created now. So there is an option called go to resource here. So if I click on this, it will directly take you to the Azure Data Factory. And as you can see here, I am in the overview tab where you can see some of the information about the data factory itself. And one thing to note here is, like as I said before, you can configure the private endpoint and stuff. There is an option called networking under the settings here in the left side. So if I click on that networking part, and right now it is public endpoint. So that's the option that we selected while creating this Azure Data Factory. So even if you want to go with the private endpoint, you can go with the private endpoint and you can click save, or you can also create a private endpoint connection using this option. So this is all related to the networking stuff, as I said before, which is going to increase the security. But we are more interested into the functionalities that Data Factory can do. So now I'm jumping back to this overview tab. So as you can see here, there's an option called Launch Studio, which opens the Azure Data Factory Studio. So if I click on this Launch Studio, it will take you to the Azure Data Factory page. So this is the page where you are going to use to develop all the Data Factory pipelines and all the other stuff. So as you can see here, this is the home page of the Azure Data Factory. And you have a lot of options like Author, Monitor, Manage tab, and Learning Center. So as part of this demo, this is mostly around like creating the Azure Data Factory. I think now you have an idea about like how to create an Azure Data Factory. So in the next video, let's see about this Azure Data Factory Studio 2, where I will be explaining about all these different tabs and what are the things that we could do in all these different tabs individually, and some of the other concepts related to the Azure Data Factory. That's it for today. See you in another great video. Until then, cheers. Bye.